Besides the wonderful Chinese New Year celebrations we got to enjoy on Penang Island during our first visit, there were a number of other attractions that we also got to enjoy. Some were on our own before Justine and Paul arrived, and some we enjoyed with them. One of our first outings was to Batu Ferringhi, which is the main beach area of Penang Island. Although we weren't impressed with the beach itself because the sand was extremely difficult to walk on, it was very coarse, we did, however, enjoy the resorts along the beach, and they were very hospitable in welcoming us to their facilities. The first resort we enjoyed was the Park Royal, and we enjoyed it so much that when Justine and Paul arrived, we actually took them back to the resort to enjoy a refreshment. Our favourite resort in Batu Ferringhi, however, was the Shangri-La's Rasa Sayang Resort and Spa. And we discovered this resort when we wanted to actually have a round of golf, and they actually have a short 9-hole golf course, so we thoroughly enjoyed our outing on that. And then afterwards we decided to have a lunch, and we had one of the nicest meals that we've had anywhere, with the beautiful scenery to enjoy at the same time. And there were a few interesting guests at the hotel. These monitor lizards decided they also wanted to enjoy some lunch. This was a resort we returned to often, especially during our second visit to Penang Island, primarily because of the fantastic gardens and just to get out of the concrete hole that we were in Straits Key Marina. Staff were only too happy to have us visit the resort and to while away our day. As you can see, the resort is actually deserted, and obviously this is because of the border closures with the pandemic and the movement control orders that were in place in Malaysia. For me specifically, though, it was just lovely to get back to nature and enjoy the gardens and the flowers that were in bloom. It was really lovely. When we returned to Batu Ferringhi the second time, it was primarily so that Justine could go horse riding on the beach. This was something that she had requested before they arrived, and we found this horse riding school that was prepared to let her ride. They apparently are ex-race horses, so she thoroughly enjoyed that.
She'll be alright. She'll be
She's
up and down, up and down. Yeah.
Our second outing was to the tropical spice gardens, and this was primarily so that we could actually go to one of the cooking classes, which was a traditional Malay cooking class. And when we were there, we learned to cook ayam kuzi, which was a chicken curry, stir-fried wing beans with fermented soybeans, and then a dessert that was called bubu kakang, I think is how you pronounce it. All absolutely delicious and definitely a lot of fun. The good news was Elaine never burnt herself or burnt any food. And it was actually nice to have some company. There were 3 other ladies that were school teachers that were on the cooking class as well. So it made it a little bit more interesting and festive. Another favourite outing was to Penang Hill, and we did this twice. Once on our own as a sunrise experience, and then we did it with Justine and Paul as a sunset experience, and both were absolutely wonderful. For the sunrise experience, we actually had to be up bright and early with our packed breakfast to get the first train or funicular up the hill. What we weren't expecting though was how cold it was, and the one thing we didn't bring with us was a jacket of sorts. You can tell by the video footage that the wind was absolutely howling, so we found a sheltered spot and enjoyed our breakfast while the sun came up. After the sunrise, we were then able to go and explore what Penang Hill actually has to offer. And this was definitely a surprise in every which way. From the stunning Hindu temple to the mosque that was up there, and also the hotel that we were able to go and have a morning tea and enjoy the view. Our meander towards the Curtis Crest treetop walk took us over the Langor Way canopy walk, the stressed two-span ribbon bridge located 700 meters above sea level, designed and engineered to be tree-friendly since none of the steel cables were rigged directly onto the trees. It is said to be the first of its kind in the world and is also the only one built amongst the treetop canopy of a tropical rainforest, the 130-million-year-old virgin rainforest of Penang Hill. It was named after the family of dusky leaf langurs that was spotted sitting on the cables when the bridge was being built. The Curtis Crest treetop walk sits about 820 meters above sea level, and from this vantage point we were able to enjoy spectacular panoramic views, including Kedah and the Langkawi archipelago in the distance. The flattened piece of land in which the structure sits was cleared more than 200 years ago for tennis courts used by the British colonialists who visited Penang Hill to escape the heat. On our stroll to the last but by no means least attraction, the Monkey Cup Garden, we passed more spring flowers in bloom as well as beautiful ornate features along the roadside. Under one of these, a pergola, we took a rest from all the walking and enjoyed our mid-morning snack and drink. Refueled, we headed onwards to the most interesting little garden we had ever seen. In fact, we were both in awe of what we saw. With little to no other tourists around, we enjoyed a private tour of the garden, receiving a detailed explanation of each of the various species. These are a genus of carnivorous plants, also known as the tropical pitcher plant or the monkey cups, comprising about 170 species. The name monkey cup refers to the fact that monkeys have been observed drinking rainwater from these plants. But regardless of all the technical information, they were the most amazing flora we had seen. The cups ranged in size from about 5 centimeters high to about 20 centimeters, and the shapes varied from little fat cups if they grew closer to the ground, to long slender flutes if they grew further up the creeper. They were completely fascinating with their colorful lips and their little hats, not to mention the shapes, sizes and colors. Our second visit to Penang Hill was for a sunset dinner excursion. Once we'd reached the upper station and pointed Justine and Paul in the right direction to enjoy the highlights, we waited for them at the Bellevue Hotel before we all made our way to the David Brown's restaurant on Strawberry Hill to enjoy the sunset and a delicious meal set in a beautiful garden surrounded in twinkle lights. Our second visit to the Kek Lok Si temple was a completely different experience too. Firstly, because we were dropped off at a different entrance where we all got to feed the numerous turtles at the base of the temple complex, and secondly because it was all but deserted. With the flowers in bloom though, and being able to wander around without the crowds, we had another fabulous outing. Of course, we had to add a little bit of fun to the outing as well, including having a photograph taken for each of us with the Chinese animal that depicts the year of our birth. And please, no comments about the tiger being mine. Our tri-shore ride around the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site of Georgetown, listed in 2008 to enjoy the street art, topped off Justine and Paul's visit to Penang Island. In an initiative to physically brand the heritage site, an idea competition opened in 2009. Sculpture at work under the creative direction of local artist Tang Man Kian won the commission with the theme Voices of the People, a retelling of Penang's history by Penang characters through their own particular brand of wit and humour. To date, there are 52 steel rod sculptures, but this initiative also opened the door for new public art forms by artists like Lefty, Reggie Lee and Baba Chiao, many of which we got to see during our tour. The Cheating Husband on Love Lane, Old Motorcycle, Kids on Bicycle, Boy on Chair and the Indian Boatman, all of which were just fabulous. It was the perfect outing to wrap up a wonderful time on Penang Island. Of course, at the time, we had no idea we would be returning a few months later.
Okay.